Hi, guys. Welcome to this episode of the Trainer Feed. We are your hosts. My name is Angel Sanchez. With me, I have Mr. David Bravo.
Hello. What's up?
And then Mr. Zach Jer.
What's going on, everyone?
David, would you please?
No applause?
There we go. There we go. And on this episode of the Trainer Feed, David would like to say something to all of us. What would David like to say?
Well, no, today we were going to talk about, or what I wanted to talk about, is for whatever sport you play, types of training for in-season and off-season. Because when I was in high school, it wasn't really a concept. I think in high school it was like, all right, you're just going to play, and you're going to go lift weights, and you're going to go play again, you know? And there was not really a set structure to what you should be doing as the season is happening, as opposed to what you're doing when the season's over and you're just going to train for the next season. And recently, since I've picked up playing rugby, and it was like in season, I went in like 0 to 100, which probably wasn't the greatest thing. I don't know, because it was just like I was just like put into the Lions, then it was just insane. But I realized how hard it is, at least for me, to get stronger, or to at least try to get just stronger by like 10 pounds when it comes to like deadlifting or squatting while the season's happening. Because you would have your trainings 2 or 3 times a week, and then you would need to go to the gym, however many days a week you want to. And for me, because again, I went in it just full on, my body was just like destroyed, like after every single practice, especially my legs. And, because it's a lot of running and I'm not the biggest runner. So I realized, and after speaking to a couple of people, it's like while you're in season, and you guys could correct me if I'm wrong, or whatever it is that you guys used to do when you guys played sports, but while you're in season, I realize it's easier to at least try to maintain your strength rather than try to keep going for PRs, because if you are pushing your body to the limits every other day, and then you have to PR the next day, and then you have a game on the weekend, it's a lot. And you could really mess yourself up. So what I've realized is if you're in season and you're training however many days a week, the days you're in the gym, try to just maintain your strength by doing doubles, maybe triples, doubles, singles, just to maintain your strength where it's at, so that when the off season comes, that's when you could, again, deload and then try to get stronger, because you have more time. And, you're not really banging your body up all the time. And I think that's worked for me a little bit, at least. I think I'll probably take a different route or a more structured route for the next season. But what did you guys do when you guys played sports? Or how was it when y'all were playing sports? Was it better than the way I was playing sports in high school? Or was it like less structured?
I didn't play sports, so it's going to go to Jack.
So it's funny you talk about doing more weight during the season, it is definitely hard to not only pick up a sport but start mid-season. That's very hard to do.
Mm-hmm.
These guys already have bases, but then again, you make adjustments. You get in there. Typically, my understanding is you've always gone heavier in the off season, not during the season.
Yeah.
During the season, it's maintenance. I think my understanding with when I would do some conditioning as well, the theme or the thought about when you were in season was really just to do maintenance, to make sure you still are squatting with good form, with good load. Their left still getting strong with that, but the off season is when you do the hardest work. It's when you really crush it. It's really so that, because in the off season you're not playing, you're just really working on your fitness. That's when you take your time away to analyze what you did well, what you could have done better in the previous season, and then work on those weaknesses. So, if you felt that speed was your issue, then cardio, and then not just the one kind of cardio, the various kinds of cardio, reach to really fully equip yourself to be better in the following season. And then when it comes to the actual season, you slowly tailor it back, because now you're performing your sport, right? So if you're in the off season, you're working out 4 or 5 days a week, cool, great. If it's 2-hour sessions, 3-hour sessions, whatever it is, and when it comes to playing, you play 3 times a week right now?
About.
So you should, in theory, half your workouts, in theory.
Yeah.
I mean, I would be of the opinion to think, okay, you could do some lighter sessions in the same day, or really, again, I would never suggest to doing some heavy like the same day you're playing. I think that's a little counterintuitive.
Yeah.
But I think you could do some pulls the same day. I think you strategize your workout so that it's not going to hinder your performance. I also think if you spend one of your active recovery mobility days, like the morning or afternoon before you play, that's a really smart idea. Spend more time foam rolling. I would also say it's been really interesting to, when I followed strength and conditioning coaches or teams and how they played, there was no one way.
Mm-hmm.
You want them to get stronger. And I think it's just whatever makes you feel more resilient when you play. I think it's good to replicate patterns. So if you're playing rugby, I saw a lot of guys, what they do. I mean, it's a lot of lunges, perhaps some jumping to be explosive. But I think about if you're in the line out, in the throw-ins, those guys, they jump, then they get held up, right? So I think for someone at that position, a box jump makes a lot of sense. Okay? Someone such as a fullback, so the guy at the back, he's almost, Angel, he's almost like in the NFL, a punt returner. He's the guy that's the last man back in theory, or like a safety. And if the ball goes all the way deep, he's the one to go get it and to bring it back into play, if you will. So someone like that who has to go into the air and catch the ball, I can see him doing box jumps. I can also see him working on agility. That makes a lot of sense. That's transferable, to the game. So that's just how I would think about it is, yes, you want to perform and maintain, but when you're in season, you shouldn't really be in PRs, just based on what I've seen, what I've learned.
And what position do you play, David?
I am a loose head prop.
So what kind of movements does the loose head prop
Just
do?
think about like sled pushes. Just like constant sled
scrums and-
pushings, squatting, deadlifting.
Oh, right up your alley. There you go.
swings. Yeah.
And then all those, so in the prop, you're in the scrum, correct? You're the one of the front three of the so Angel. When you have the scrum, it's 8 guys versus 8 guys, and 3 guys just can lock their heads and push like that. Okay? Then there's rocks, there's mauls. Those are set pieces where you clear out the other team's players to make sure you have possession. That is a lot of, as you said, squatting down low. I think sled push is the greatest possible exercise. They actually used to have, I don't know if you have this when you play, David, when you train, but they had the equivalent of a sled push, and it's almost such as a 8-man sled, where the sled is so big,
Oh yeah,
it has the spots, cushions, where someone can put their heads to it, imagining they're pushing the scrum, and that's something that helps them. Because I think that's a really challenging thing in rugby is you can all train together in theory, but you perform the exercises individually in theory. Whereas that, in a sled push, you need to all make sure you're pushing efficiently, the timing wise, because if all these 3 guys on the left side are stronger than the right side, it's going to go pear shaped. It's going to go all the way over. You want to make sure you pull all in the front direction. So that's something I think. So you know what I'm talking about, and then you have the coach on it, right? Like screaming, shouting, like, "Oh, that's so hard," or whatever it is.
Yeah.
And that's a very good one to do.
Yeah.
That's pretty cool. Yeah. Just based off, the strength and conditioning knowledge that I have, it does seem like what you say is right, where you don't want to try to push any athlete during the season because the likelihood that they're going to gain something in return is relatively low. You don't want to push them more than what they're already pushed, right? You want to work on the other things, or you want to have like lighter days, like you said, like just focus on 1 to 2, maybe 3 reps, but not necessarily anything like crazy. And even that is going to be a lower percentage of what they should actually be, what their true like 1 rep max would be, right? Like they're not going to be pushing all that, because then the likelihood that they'll get injured is increased, and then all of a sudden it's like now you're out just because of training. So might as well just focus on other things like mobility or stability, or like focus on active resting between games, and all those other things. That way it's not like they're not doing anything, but they're also just not adding a whole bunch of stress to what's already on their plate, because it is stressful, and then there's a load that comes along with that, and they have to be able to manage that.
And think also to a position where, if I'm thinking rugby as well, you're talking about David, let's say the winger, you want to be strong, but imagine he PR'd, did a very strong, push session, and his shoulder's not feeling too good. Now that's going to affect his passing, so he sacrificed performance in theory because he wanted to get a chest workout. I mean, I don't think that's very common, but just imagine. And I'm thinking as well, if someone in I don't know. See, I also think that the scrum half does some of the most running, right? The scrum half have like one of the essential like quarterback position is kind of halved in rugby, the roles of it. And imagine this guy was PRing in squats or deadlifts, and he like, doesn't feel his hips too good. He's got to do the most amount of running. Now he's made his performance, he's diminished his performance because he's sacrificing the gym.
Mm.
If he did, and that's not saying that happens often, but it doesn't make sense to, as you said, push yourself between games or after a game, before a game, whatever it is, and then affect your performance. Like, and you're also not going to get stronger in one game, right?
Yeah.
Let's be
Yeah.
real.
Yeah.
So it takes time. And I also think when you talked about injuring yourself outside of the game, I know the story. Shocker, it's the Islanders. They're one of their best D-men. So in hockey, when they're at the arena before the game, they do with the football or soccer ball, they do keep ups. You seen it? They just kind of like kill time and they're at the arena. This guy tore his Achilles just playing that game, and he was out for I don't know 4 or 5 months. He was out for the regular season, and why? Because he tore it. It wasn't even on the ice. So and then people get mad, right? Understandably so. Like maybe you shouldn't do that on your warm up, and that's not quite the same idea of saying okay, you shouldn't train certain ways. But again, imagine you injure yourself in the gym.
Mm-hmm.
I think the chances are very slim. And I
Yeah.
think the idea is to be stronger in the gym so you're stronger in the field. I think that's very much the case. But God forbid you get injured in the gym doing something silly or just trying to get stronger. I mean, it happens. I mean, did you guys see this 2 or 3 weeks ago? I want to say it was I can't remember his name. I think it's Tariq Cohen, one of the running backs. I believe he was with the Bears. He was doing an Instagram live video of his workout, and you hear the pop. I can't remember if it was the ACL or the Achilles, but he's doing Instagram live, and you hear the pop, and he's like, oh, and he's on the floor, and it's still going live, the whole thing.
Oh my god!
You guys didn't see this?
No.
No,
I'll have to
I've
share it
seen-
with
I've
you,
seen
but
silly
it's
things
just,
like that.
I thought it was a joke. And then when my friend sent it to me, I said, oh, this was today? He says, yeah, I thought it was like from years ago. He's like, this is today, Instagram live, and he tore something right there. And I think he was walking on patterns that has a running back, patterns that can help and give him an edge, really improve that agility, things of that nature. But
But
damn,
also,
to hear
that stuff
pop-
isn't managed too much, from my understanding, outside of the in season, or it's not managed as well as it could be, right? And I guess it's a little bit difficult because like everybody lives in different places and they do whatever they got to do. They have their own setups, but there should be a little bit more management in regards to that because of things like that. You know, you don't want the 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 athlete, which is essentially the client, to go out there and do something that they think will be good for them, or their trainer might think is good for them, and the strength and conditioning coach or the head strength and conditioning coach sees it as like problematic or sees it as dangerous, whether it's like the exercises together or like the structure of the program, or you know they want a velvet like floor in the middle of the gym because they think it's nice, like whatever it is, like these are things that should have some they should have some oversight in regards to that. But I guess it's tough to manage all that. And then I was going to tell David, or speak to David's point about how it could be managed a lot better at the high school and the junior high level, because what I think is happening from a strength and conditioning standpoint is that when speaking to people like Holly Crane, you remember we had her on the episode, and she spoke about like the college athletes that she works with and the athletes that she's worked with in the past. It seems as if every time we give an athlete an opportunity to perform, on like playing a sport, the coaching, the training, the style of training, the style of coaching, all of that stuff starts getting put into the athlete's head as what things should be. And then when they go into the pros, then they kind of have that, that's another thing where it's like, oh, this is what it should be. But the brain is trying to figure out like what's good, what's bad, what things work, what things don't work. And then they have all the other stuff that they see on social media or they see like outside. So it's like we have to do better as a collective to continuously put good information out there, because I think it becomes a little bit confusing, and these multi-million-dollar athletes are no exception to that rule. They're gonna do silly things. They're gonna think things are cool. or
They
things
trust
are
the
fun.
coaches, which sometimes you see the coaches
Yeah.
do something that might not that
They
we
all-
question, but
Yeah. But they all have different intentions. That's the other thing too, right? Like the head strength and conditioning coach. I'm sure like priority number one is like don't injure the athlete, right? Like
Usually,
keep the
yeah.
athlete standing, whatever, right? Like if they lose 10 pounds on their back squat or deadlift or whatever, like that's not the
it's
end
not
of
the
the
issue
world.
exactly.
But just keep them injury free. But then like you get like a trainer that might be like, yo, I really want this guy to like be jumping up and down and like do some crazy stuff, you know, get a crazy chest pump and do like, I don't know, backflips. Because I know that that's going to get me more followers.
Yeah, that's
you know?
tough.
Right, that's a
That,
little.
right? Like,
There's a really interesting guy who trains out in Dallas, and he trains some of the Dallas Cowboys, and he also trains Derrick Henry, and a lot of his stuff is Viper. I love when we talked about multi-plane in a previous episode. This guy has all these guys doing, and these guys are sweating. These guys are walking real hard. It could be some really heavy kettlebells. Vipers are 20, 30, 40 kilos, where they're doing real multiplanar patterns I think can really translate to playing in the game. And it's good to see. Again, I don't think we see enough of that. I think that's something that when we had Brendan on, he said in the beginning, he says he loves content, but the content that we need out there doesn't do good, doesn't sell, doesn't look good, doesn't look sexy. You know, when you do, if you spoke about the glute bridge or perhaps a bird dog, which you mentioned previously, people are like, okay, do I get solid abs? I mean, technically, you'll get stronger core for it, but they don't make that connection. And that's why it's hard when we talk about the trainers. You know, a trainer, and also we know this, you could have Alex had on the Kardashians on, and I was watching them with a trainer, and I thought they were doing some dog shit stuff. And I was like, but you know what? He's probably got more followers, more earnings than me, but because of who he's training, it's not necessarily the case that he knows more. And someone was complaining to me about this not so long ago about, you know, someone performing this many sessions or this many clients. And I was like, I mean, don't sweat it. It's not indication of them being a proficient trainer. I think everyone's got various opportunities, but don't see it as they're the most dominant trainer in every realm, you know? That's just what I think people should remember. But I definitely hear your point about it looks cooler, and that's maybe why it's going to be on there. I mean, I think you need a bit of both. I think you need a bit of, stuff that can look creative and that can wow you, but at the same time, if there's no point, then just being a jackass, whatever. I mean, you do you, right? At the end of the day.
yeah, I guess so. But yeah.
All right. Well,
Wrap it up.
any closing remarks?
When are you going pro?
Never. Shit.
When's the World Cup again?
I don't-
2023, no?
Yeah.
So it's in just over a year.
The
Yeah,
World Cup
should be fun.
of rugby.
Yeah.
Where is this one? Oh, so he doesn't know. All right, so we'll find out.
Oh no.
He was looking up to God.
Well, the
God
sevens
knows.
is happening in LA.
Oh, what?
The World Cup sevens, the World Series sevens. That's
That-
in August, I think.
That's where you're going?
In the heat in California?
Yeah.
You're going?
David's going.
They're just going for the
No.
party.
I can't go to that.
Nah, David's going. We're gonna
You
get
paying for it?
Nah, you gonna get sponsored.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Let's open that GoFundMe. David's pro career.
Vegan Robs.
All right, guys. Join us on this episode of the Trainer Feed. We'll see you in the next one.
Bye, guys. Peace.